Bella lì raga, bentornati a tutti sul mio canale e su The Council. Continuiamo con la nostra partitozza, siamo arrivati al capitolo 2 mi pare.
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet. Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
Vedi un po'? Allora, vediamo. Abilità in scienze, linguistica e erudizione. Quello lì non lo posso ancora equipaggiare. Etichetta, diversivi. Questi qui, punto persuasione, erudizione. Logica, logica mi servirebbe, però questo qui me ne dà 3. Me ne dà 3 in 1, quindi io direi che posso sceglierne più di uno. E che cazzo, ma ditemelo. Diversivi, etichette, ok, niente, ok, quindi qui e facciamo questo. Ok. ...22 gennaio del 1973, sì, proprio. 1793. Episodio 2, nascondino. Hide and seek, nascondino.
Is there nothing you want to say, Louis?
It wasn't me. I didn't kill her.
I'd much rather have met you under different circumstances.
Lord Mortimer, believe me, I'm very conscious of the gravity of the situation. Everything seems to point to me as the one who killed Elizabeth, but I swear I am innocent.
Out of respect for your mother, rest assured that I do want to believe you.
And all I want is to be able to prove it to you. When do we start?
We already have. Tell me, Louis, how do you feel?
De merda. Difficoltà 3.
I feel a bit disoriented.
That's only normal in your situation. You can hardly say you've been left unscathed lately. First, the disappearance of your mother, and now, this murder.
Where are you going with this, my lord?
Sarah's behavior grew odd before her disappearance. Her attitude changed. She became prey to outbursts of violence and a number of temporary absences. I'm just trying to make sure that you don't go getting lost like your mother did.
You're not suggesting that I might have killed Elizabeth and that I don't remember, are you?
I don't know, Louis. It's just that what with your mother and now you, it's rather a lot. The more I take stock of the situation, the more I'm under the impression that you've been set up. But before going any further, I must inform you that Sir Gregory is about to arrive. He is coming to question you about the murder of poor Elizabeth, whom he was very fond of. He is quite determined to find the culprit, whomever they may be. So, convince him of your innocence. Then we can continue this conversation.
Ok. Ah, è lui Lord Mortimer.
William,
Finalmente l'abbiamo incontrato.
Before we begin, in private.
Let's step outside a moment. Louis, this will only take a few moments.
Ok. Quindi non è uno di quelli in maschera. Mi sembrano due gemelli. Lo so, raga, che io mi metto nei casini ancora di più, ma...
Let's take this chance to look around.
Lo so che devo guardare prima qua. Aspetta, quella lì.
Honey, the remedy of the
Perfetto.
gods.
Vi leggo le testimonianze degli ospiti Bonaparte. In posizione di Napoleone Bonaparte. La domanda cosa avete fatto ieri sera, ma se Bonaparte ti parlava. Ok, quindi queste qui sono le deposizioni. No, devo finire di controllare.
Please, sit back down, Louis.
This sort of behavior is not working in your favor, young man. Monsieur de Richet, you were found standing over Miss Adams' body. We must shed some light on your responsibility in this tragedy. We shall then decide on your fate. But you must know that if you do not convince us of your innocence, it will cost you dearly. Now you are going to tell us everything that happened last night, without leaving any detail out. First things first, how did your evening begin?
Ero con Elizabeth, però... Con
Duchess
Emily.
Hillsborough and I were returning to our rooms when Elizabeth came upon us.
Oh, so you were with the Duchess?
Yes, we were talking. We were walking up the stairs, and it was late.
Where did you come from?
I don't remember.
Proviamo così.
Listen, with everything that's happened, my thoughts are a bit mixed up. I can't remember very well. I'm sorry.
Now, why does
yeah.
that answer not surprise me? But please, do go on.
We were heading for our rooms when Elizabeth burst into the corridor, barely dressed. She was panic-stricken and insisted on speaking to me. So I found myself in Elizabeth's room. We sat down together. She insisted we have a drink, or she would refuse to confide in me.
What exactly did she want to speak about at such a late hour?
Allora, proviamo con...
She was panicked. She claimed she had just seen my mother on the island.
Did she say where she saw her?
If I remember correctly, she told me she saw her on the docks.
Your memory fails you, sir. She also told me that she said she saw her near a cliff. Let's finish this, William. I don't rightly know how we can give the benefit of the doubt to an individual who can manipulate the truth to absurdity.
Louis, unfortunately, you haven't managed to convince us.
Me lo farà
We'll
rifare.
agree that you had the time and the motive to commit the murder. I am devastated, but I must agree with Gregory and declare you guilty.
Gentlemen, if you please, wait. There is something else. Elizabeth ended up telling me why my mother had tried to treat her.
The voices in her head, is that it?
She spoke to you about them too, didn't she? Gentlemen, I'm not a doctor, but she was persuaded she heard voices in her head. You don't think she might have killed herself,
By
do
stabbing
you?
herself 9 times. I find that extremely unlikely, don't you?
What? Stabbed 9 times?
It appears that the murderer walked up and stabbed her several times from behind. We counted 9 gashes in all. All of them were relatively shallow, and they were all given from roughly the same angle of attack. Traces of blood appear to prove that she was standing throughout the attack.
If that's all the proof you have before dispensing justice, then you'll have innocent blood on your hands. There's no proof I could have committed the murder.
You do know, sir, that the first impression is often the right one. We found you near dear Elizabeth's body. What could be simpler?
Goodbye.
No!
Ok, riproviamo. L'episodio 2 termina qui, ma l'avventura dei consoli continua nel prossimo episodio. Vuoi continuare? No. E riproviamo. Scusatemi,
How many times must
non
I
lo posso
tell you?
skippare, vero? No.
You must
Lo devo
never
vedere
put your
tutto.
life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a
Proverò a rispondere
fascination
meglio,
for
ma
Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the crew have gone to the guillotine.
cioè, anche se io scelgo una risposta che per me potrebbe valere,
Believe your mother capable
no?
of
Potrebbe essere
torturing a child.
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take
Comunque ho visto
over
come
the
si
project
muore.
on behalf of
Incredibile.
your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional.
Allora, vediamo adesso come possiamo risolvere la questione.
For the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
Prima di tutto non saltiamo più. E rifacciamo quelli di prima e questo. Poi riproviamo.
Is there nothing you want to say, Louis?
It wasn't me. I didn't kill her.
I'd much rather have met you
Okay.
under different circumstances.
Lord Mortimer, believe me, I'm very conscious of the gravity of the situation. Everything seems to point to me as the one who killed Elizabeth, but I swear I am innocent.
Out of respect for your mother, rest assured that I do want to believe you.
And all I want is to be able to prove it to you. When do we start?
We already have. Tell me, Louis, how do you feel?
Proviamo a
I feel
fare
like a
questo.
rat trapped in a maze.
Interesting.
I beg your pardon?
Sarah also felt like she was trapped like an animal.
Where are you going with this, my lord?
Sarah's behavior grew odd before her disappearance. Her attitude changed. She became prey to outbursts of violence and a number of temporary absences. I'm just trying to make sure that you don't go getting lost like your mother did.
You're not suggesting that I might have killed Elizabeth and that I don't remember, are you?
I don't know, Louis. It's just that what with your mother and now you, it's rather a lot. The more I take stock of the situation, the more I'm under the impression that you've been set up. But before going any further, I must inform you that Sir Gregory is about to arrive. He is coming to question you about the murder of poor Elizabeth, whom he was very fond of. He is quite determined to find the culprit, whomever they may be. So, convince him of your innocence. Then we can continue this conversation.
Ah, ok.
William, I would like to see you a moment before we begin. In private.
Let's
Ok,
do that
adesso non
side
saltiamo.
Louis, this will only take a few moments.
No, andiamo, aspettiamo.
Make myself
Così
look
no.
more suspicious than I already do.
Esatto. Meglio. Infatti era la mia prima scelta in teoria, ma... Ah, hanno cambiato le maschere, adesso da bianche sono nere.
Likewise, Sir Gregory.
Well then, let us begin. Monsieur de Richet, you were found standing over Miss Adams' body. We must shed some light on your responsibility in this tragedy. We shall then decide on your fate. But you must know that if you do not convince us of your innocence, it will cost you dearly. Now you are going to tell us everything that happened last night, without leaving any detail out. First
Rifacciamo
things
questo.
first, how did your evening begin?
I was in
Proviamo
the
così.
corridor and I was going to bed. Elizabeth wanted to speak to me because she feared for her life.
Very well. Continue.
Were you alone?
Facciamo...
Well, I followed her, and
Louis? You are trying to dodge the question.
Why try to hide the fact that you went up with Duchess Hillsborough?
Eia.
I'm finding it very difficult to follow your line of reasoning.
Never mind. Continue. You went upstairs. Elizabeth accosted you to beg for your help.
we were heading for our rooms when Elizabeth burst into the corridor, barely dressed. She was panic-stricken and insisted on speaking to me. So I found myself in Elizabeth's room. We sat down together. She insisted we have a drink, or she would refuse to confide in me.
What exactly did she want to speak about at such a late hour?
Allora, rifacciamo questo. E così.
She was distressed. She just found out that I was Sarah de Richet's son and sort of insisted on telling me about the horrors my mother made her suffer. She was convinced she was going to die.
It turns out she wasn't wrong. And what happened next?
Then she told me she had poured laudanum in my glass. The next minute I was on the floor. When I woke up, she was lying in a pool of blood.
That is all you have to say? You expect us to believe that you have no idea what happened to her?
Yes, because I'm telling you the truth.
How can you possibly expect us to believe you?
Gregory, we must consider every possibility.
Ok, questa qui è l'ultima prova.
Louis, do you have any idea who could have done
E
it?
che cazzo ne so?
Why don't you ask him where he was last night?
Monsieur Peru, what would his motive be? Do you have any proof?
No, not exactly, but he'd already
God.
ripped her up once.
E mi uccide di
Monsieur de
nuovo.
Richet, you should not accuse the first person to come along without at least some proof. I'm sure you are worthier than that.
Can you think of anyone else?
Let's finish this, William. I don't rightly know how we can give the benefit of the doubt to an individual who can...
Ok, allora, finché non ci riesco, adesso farò il taglio.
Unfortunately, you haven't managed
Forse l'ho già
to
fatto la
convince
prima
us.
volta.
You will agree that you had the time and the motive to commit the murder. I am devastated, but I must agree with Gregory and declare you guilty.
Gentlemen, if you please, wait. There is something else. Elizabeth ended up telling me why my mother had tried to treat her.
The voices in her head, is that it?
She spoke to you about them too, didn't she? Gentlemen, I'm not a doctor, but she was persuaded she heard voices in her head. You don't think she might have killed herself,
By
do
stabbing
you?
herself 9 times. I find that extremely unlikely, don't you?
What? Stabbed 9 times?
It appears
Ok,
that the murderer
riproviamo con
walked up and
l'altra.
stabbed her several times from behind. We counted 9 gashes in all. All of them were relatively shallow, and they were all given from roughly the same angle of attack. Traces of blood appear to prove that she was standing throughout the attack.
I might not have the strength of Hercules, but if I had stabbed a woman, I'd probably have made deeper cuts.
Sounds plausible. I have to admit, you put forward a powerful argument, Monsieur de Richet.
I think that will be all, Gregory. The benefit of the doubt suffices.
Ok, sono passato. A lui gli è passato invece il mento attraverso il vestito. a Perù. Sono passato,
I
raga.
would like to
Dovevo...
thank you for helping us shed light on what happened last night. To be honest, you are not the only suspect. I'm prepared to believe you were drugged. Our poor Elizabeth hid the stuff everywhere, and I could smell laudanum on you 3 yards away.
So you knew it wasn't me from the start?
We weren't sure. Louis, I am sorry, but everything points in the same direction. I only know one person on the
Figli di
side
Troia, mi hanno
who
fatto
might
morire la
have
prima
had
volta.
a big enough grudge against Elizabeth, who has no alibi, and whose behavior is, well, suspect. Not to mention dangerous.
Tell me what happened before my arrival. I think I've been patient enough.
You don't need us for any of this. So come along, Monsieur Peru. We are leaving.
Ok, vediamo.
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She isn't missing, you know.
What? What do you mean?
My mother has left traces in every nook and cranny of your island, my lord. She's definitely here. Now, what worries me most is why she doesn't show herself.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far. Yet he told me that you had spoken and that you hadn't been able to reach an understanding.
That's putting it mildly. Monsieur Bonaparte is one of those guys who only understands people who think like he does.
Ah, I see what you mean. He is indeed rather inflexible when it comes to certain subjects. But I am still of the opinion that you can manage to get along.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she's wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wollner, and myself.
Non lo so.
It seems you're close friends. What can you tell me about Sir Gregory?
Gregory? Oh, he's one of those cantankerous old men who hates losing at chess. He's a little eccentric and rather conservative. I'm sure you've met the type.
Well, actually, I don't judge people on how they look.
And you do well not to. What with his manner of continuing to wear makeup as he does, Gregory often gives off an unhealthy image. The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
The armistice between the Russians and the Turks. Russia's come out of it having officially won Crimea, which gives it direct access to the Black Sea.
And, at the same time, the Mediterranean Sea. I'm worried about the decisions Tsarina Catherine might decide to take. She's a woman who managed to get rid of her husband to accede to the upper reaches of power. Gaining access to the Mediterranean Sea remains her main objective. When she still had that dear Potemkin as her lover, I could always find out about her intentions, but those days are over.
Sì, sono tutti gratuiti.
Grigory Alexandrovich Potemkin?
The very man. The little devil behind them.
Li guardiamo essendo gratuiti.
Since his death, I know absolutely nothing of what the Tsarina is up to.
Oh, really?
Ah, yes. I didn't mean to shock you. Please forgive me. Let's just say that, in my position, it is often advantageous to know about the habits and customs of world leaders.
I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Famoso bolla papale.
Mother lulled my childhood with tales of the Crusades. How Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus had to battle it out to achieve their ends. And how Guy de Lusignan, having broken his word, launched
Guy
the
de
siege
Lusignan.
of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Oh, I see Sarah's lessons have inspired new enthusiasts. Good on you, because not everyone can claim they know as much at your age. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
Ah, quindi non era un flash forward, era una cosa...
Actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot
Esatto.
Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me. But between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time
Quindi era la
talking about
sorella.
the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation. Until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
Ok, mi fai girare per la stanza. E gira tutto intorno alla stanza mentre si danza. Danza. E qui non so dove devo andare. Mannaggia il ca... Allora. Qui non posso entrare, vero? Ah sì, qui posso entrare. Quindi controlliamo se ci sono robe. Perfetto.
There are burnt papers in the chimney.
Ah,
There's a
indizi.
legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be?
L'uomo con la spada.
Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there.
Ok. Continuiamo a controllare questa stanza. Oh, qua c'è qualcosa.
Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
Carmelite water will give me a little reprieve.
Perfetto. Poi. Cerca indizi. Posso entrare anche di qua, allora aspetta. Qua ho già visto tutto, giusto? Lì c'è Dante. Non ci sono altri puntini. Lì c'è quadro. Va bene, non c'è nient'altro qua. Allora andiamo di qua. Ah, non posso andare di qua.
The door appears to be locked on the other side.
Apriamola, scusami.
I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor.
Eia, non posso farlo, va bene. Non ho abbastanza punti. Nient'altro, ero alle finestre, non c'è niente. Oh? Qua c'è qualcosa.
What's this disc?
Lo prendiamo. Ah, una calamita. Ora aspetta. Facciamo così, prendiamo la chiave. No. Usa il disco.
We'll see if it works.
Funziona. Ah! Ed eccoci qua.
It's open.
E per lì ci siamo arrivati tutti. Ok, vediamo cosa troviamo qua. tribus, Catis,
Several
eccetera.
portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. Their fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Ok. Poi di qua.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Qui niente. Non possiamo fare niente, va bene. Qua.
The New Testament.
Ah, qui. Facciamo così. Questa Bibbia è famosa, leggi. Che cos'è adesso, pensi?
This volume dates from the first edition of Gutenberg. It's the first book that was ever printed. The pages are covered in annotations in Latin, French, and Hebrew. Someone spent years studying this Bible.
Proviamo a... Ah no, aspetta, proviamo... No, è sempre quello. Proviamo a leggerne uno. Sì,
Great
vabbè.
multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore.
Va bene, ok, non c'è niente.
St. John is known as the youngest of Christ's apostles. Well, we often give credit to St. John for having written about the apocalypse in the last book of the Bible.
Ok.
It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni.
Ah, tutto qui? Pensavo mi trovasse qualcosa. Quello già fatto. Qua già fatto. C'è una segala. Una segali. Qua niente. Qua continuano ad esserci un sacco di quadri, ma... La Bibbia. Le finestre niente. Allora, vediamo. Oh, c'è qualcosa. Ah, dell'ambra. Buono. Ah, buon, dai, non ho le qualifiche. Le qualifiche. Sì, le qualifiche necessarie. Ah, non posso più uscire. Quindi devo per forza vedere qualcosa.
Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni.
Ah, aspetta. San Marco. Questo qui era San Giovanni, non mi ricordo.
Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni.
Quindi...
It looks like someone touched this commode recently. Their fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Forse devo andare a cercare nella Bibbia gli indizi. Ok, aspetta. Allora. Questo è...
Painting of St. Mark.
San Marco,
from
San
the
Marco.
collection of the apostles by Guido Reni.
Ok. Andiamo via e andiamo qua. E andiamo a vedere Paolo. Però quale? Sì, il cazzo però.
As by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin. And so death passed upon all men, for all have sinned.
Dobbiamo trovare un modo più sicuro di comunicare. Adesso. Poi riproviamo.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait, a note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say?
Ah, l'ho trovato.
Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle?
What does Mother mean by that?
Si riferisce... Chi è? Chi cazzo era?
St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest
ok.
apostle. Right. This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer. The painting
Esaminiamo
looks
la
like it's
carne.
been taken down recently.
Proviamo.
But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean?
Non lo so. Pensa al codice.
That's right.
No,
St.
no,
John is often
che
credited with writing about the
cazzo.
apocalypse in the last book of the Bible.
Sì, sì, no, ho sbagliato, raga. Volevo fare quello sotto. Vabbè. Qui, pensa al codice. Sì, vabbè. Ok, allora mi sa che dobbiamo andare di nuovo qua. Letterale che è? Che cazzo ne so qual è. Proviamone uno
And
a
the woman
caso.
was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where
No.
she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page.
Oh, raga, l'ho preso
The writing,
completamente a
it's
caso,
not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note.
Ok. Quindi?
Several portraits of apostles,
No.
all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Dust. Allora, no. Aspetta, fammi vedere un attimo quanto sta durando sto video perché... 43 minuti. Vediamo se riusciamo a trovare altre robe. Non possiamo ancora uscire, quindi... C'è qualcosa di nuovo qua.
St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio.
Allora, facciamo così.
A fierce opponent of the first Christians, St. Paul is suddenly struck by the call of Jesus Christ and converts. It's the best known conversion in Christian history, which teaches us that even enemies of Christ can be saved, and even become his greatest apostles after finding faith. From what I can recall, the account of his conversion could be found in the epistles to the Galatians, the Philippians, the Corinthians, and the Acts of the Apostles.
Quindi devo andare a vedere tutte quelle lì, che già me le sono dimenticate. Allora, esaminiamo il quadro.
Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior.
Ok. Esaminiamo la
This painting has
cornice.
been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4.
Ok. Si legge il numero 4. Quindi abbiamo esaminato la cornice. Vediamo se c'è altro da vedere. Da vedere. Qui c'è già quello. Qua a sto punto questo.
something else behind this painting. It says half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? Must be the group of pilgrims mentioned from before. I guess maybe the city of Corinth is a reference to the epistle from Corinthians in the Bible.
Ok, devo andare a vedere la... Va bene. Andiamo a vedere nella Bibbia. Lettere ai Corinti. No. Eccoli qua. Però non sai il qua. Ah, sì, capitolo
Because we
4.
look not at the things that are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal.
Non era quello. Ok, riproviamo con un altro.
How shall not the ministration of the Spirit not be more glorious?
Non era neanche quello.
This only would I learn of you. Receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith?
Non è neanche questo. Ah, oh, allora ne manca una. Sarà per forza questa.
Now therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Ah, look, here's a
Con
message.
quale base
It
però?
is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do
Il
it.
prussiano.
In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6.
Quindi?
St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. Strange. St. Paul is shown twice, unlike the other disciples. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean?
Non lo so. Perché gli altri non li posso fare. Allora quello lì l'ho fatto. Lettere Paolo 1-2, lettere ai Romani. Non lo so, raga. Cosa devo cercare qua?
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Aspetta. Potevo utilizzare una
A
chiave?
chest with the occult symbol representing air.
No, perché è grigio. No, non la posso utilizzare, va bene. Sembrava più chiaro. Monete da collezione.
There are burnt papers in the chimney.
Ridaglie. No, pensavo ci fosse qualcos'altro.
There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be?
San Paolo.
Who could she be suspicious of?
Il prussiano.
I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there.
Dove altro posso guardare? Lì c'è Dante, che frega un cazzo. Il quadro l'ho già visto. Raga, io direi di finirla qui perché sennò dura troppo il video. Ma nel prossimo episodio vedremo. Vedremo se riesco a risolvere questo enigma. E io intanto vi saluto, vi ringrazio e vi rimando al prossimo video. Bella lì, raga, statemi bene, come sempre.